Welcome to the Volleyball University podcast, where we discuss all things that can help you become a better volleyball player, both on and off the court. We'll discuss topics like nutrition, mental performance, volleyball IQ, volleyball skills, and everything and anything that can help you become a better volleyball player. We ask that you like, subscribe, comment, whatever you have to do on whatever platform you are listening to this podcast on, so that we can continue to grow the podcast and continue to give you more value. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 9 of the Volleyball University podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about volleyball shoes. We're going to talk about the do's, so what shoes should you wear for volleyball. We'll talk about the don'ts, what shoes should you not wear for volleyball. And then as a bonus at the end, we're also going to talk about recovery shoes. Now let's get to it. All right, so before I talk about what shoes we kind of should wear for volleyball, I first want to talk about what shoes we should not wear for volleyball. Here are some examples of shoes that we should not wear for volleyball. So like the Air Forces, do not wear these for volleyballs. Air Maxes, do not wear these for volleyball. Or any type of running shoe or fashion shoe, do not wear these for volleyball. I'll start with just the Air Forces first, or any kind of like casual shoe. Like, remember, these shoes are made just to kind of look good when you're walking around. So like if you're playing in Jordans or anything like that, it's just not a good idea. They're not made for athletics. So when you play with them, you run the risk of injury, right? So same thing goes for these. These are pretty much not meant to be athletic shoes, so you shouldn't wear them as athletic shoes. Like, another thing you want to avoid is just general running shoes as well. Like anything with like an elevated heel is going to mess up your like volleyball athleticism. Specifically running shoes, like they're kind of made to like move forward, right? You're just kind of moving forward, running like this the whole time. And in volleyball, sometimes you move forward, but most of the time you're moving left and right and backwards and taking an approach and jumping and landing. So you need a shoe that's going to be a lot stronger than just a typical running shoe or a typical shoe that's just like a casual shoe. So my suggestion here is to avoid shoes that are running shoes and shoes that are more casual shoes, mainly for safety and mainly because they're not going to give you the best performance either. Just as like a side story, when I was coaching volleyball, pretty much when I started till even now, I see a lot of players with running shoes on. I think a lot of the reason is if you're a beginning player and you don't really know if you're going to play volleyball long term yet, or maybe it's your first time at a camp, or you kind of just don't know what your sport's going to be yet, you might just wear whatever shoes you normally wear, right? So like if you wear these shoes to school and you wear them to the park, whatever, and you have a volleyball camp, you're probably gonna wear these. So I get that, right? I'm not really like hating on anyone's shoes or anything like that. I'm just saying I see a lot of times that kids wear the wrong shoes. So eventually, if you're gonna take it seriously, you should get yourself a pair of the right shoes. Now, before I talk about the shoes that I like to wear for volleyball, I'll kind of tell you about the shoes that are maybe good for volleyball. And those are your typical volleyball shoes. So when I was in high school, there was an Adidas volleyball shoe that came out. And that's the shoe that I used because I just didn't really know any better. And for the most part, it was a pretty good shoe. There was nothing really wrong with it. I just feel like if I can go back, I would have just chosen a different shoe. Mainly, and this is kind of personal reasons, just for like the aesthetics. When I choose a shoe that I play in, I also like to look good in the shoe, and I also like the shoe to look nice. So although this is a very kind of biased answer, I personally like to avoid the Mizunos or the Asics type shoes just because they don't look that good, and I also don't think their performance is as good, and I'll explain that in a second. So shoes that I do like are going to be basketball shoes, and I'll tell you why I like basketball shoes. So remember I was talking about companies like Mizuno and Asics and the typical volleyball shoes? Basketball shoes are from bigger companies like Nike or Adidas. And those companies put a lot of research, a lot of money into kind of designing the best shoe possible for basketball. That's both in performance and, as you can see, aesthetics. You also have to keep in mind like the athletic movements in volleyball are very similar to the athletic movements in basketball. It's a lot of random cutting left to right, forward and back, max jumping and max landing. So when you compare the shoes that you're going to use, using a basketball shoe is totally okay for a sport like volleyball. On top of that, you're also going to have more selection with basketball shoes, right? Like these are the Curry 7s. There were 6 more variations of Currys before this. These are the Kyrie 4s. There are multiple versions of Kyrie's that you can choose from. And these are the shoes that I use currently. These are LeBron 20s. And again, these are LeBron 20s. There was 19, 18, 17, 16. You can go all the way back down. Obviously, you don't want to use LeBron ones because, again, each year that passes by, the technology gets better, the style trends get better, and that's just an advantage of using basketball shoes. It's a good chance that most of you or half of you that are already watching this video already use basketball shoes for volleyball. And I just want to let you know that that is totally okay to do. You're not taking any risk by doing that. In fact, I actually think you're making the best choice possible when it comes to choosing a volleyball shoe. Now, with that being said, there are a variety of basketball shoes as well. You got high top, mid top, low top, different types of traction, different types of cushion. So even when you're choosing a basketball shoe, there are certain shoes that are better than others, in my opinion. So with that being said, what I'm actually gonna start doing, and this is kind of a new announcement for those that follow or listen to the podcast, is I'm gonna start doing shoe reviews for volleyball. So when you look on YouTube, there's plenty of like LeBron 20 shoe reviews or Curry 7 performance reviews or Kyrie reviews. But there's very few that are specifically made for just volleyball players and just volleyball athletes. So on my YouTube channel, I'm gonna start doing dedicated shoe reviews for volleyball players. First video I'm doing is actually on the current shoes I'm wearing right now, which are the LeBron 20s. I think these are the best volleyball shoes of 2023. So if you're listening to this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe so that you can see the video when it does drop. If you are listening to this on Spotify or anything else, please make sure that you subscribe there as well, that you like and highly rate the podcast so that we can keep making more episodes for you. Also, wherever you're seeing this video, make sure you comment on what other types of shoes you want to see reviews for, because I'm starting with these, but I got to do more of them. So you give me the ideas and I'll make the videos happen. Lastly, as a bonus, let's talk about recovery shoes. Now, any type of slides is going to be a good shoe to come to the court in and leave the court in. And if you watch current volleyball players, you probably see a lot of them wearing Crocs, but these are my actual favorite shoes to wear coming to the court and leaving the court. So these are called Canes. They look like Crocs, but they're a little bit more sporty. They have more cushion at the bottom. And my biggest reason why I like them is because they're just more fashionable, in my opinion. I even got my wife a pair of Canes as well. Now, I've been wearing these for a long time, I think since like 2021 almost. And I recently actually just got a new pair as well. So you can tell that I'm a big fan of these shoes. If you watch my coaching videos, you probably see that I'm wearing these as well when I'm doing. So as I was finishing up that last section, the battery on my mic actually died, but I wanted to make sure I put a proper end to this podcast. So just as a quick recap, the Canes here are my favorite shoe. They're my favorite shoe to wear when I go to my volleyball games, and then when I'm done with my volleyball games, they're my favorite shoe to put on. I got my wife a pair. I have a pair for myself. These are the OG pairs that I bought in 2021, and I wear them outside now, so they're kind of dirty. And then this is the new pair I just got that's a little more casual that I also like to wear. So in terms of recovery shoes, I say use what feels best for you. But as you guys know, I'm a fan of performance and feel and aesthetics, and I feel like these have all of those. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you have not done so yet, please rate, subscribe, leave a comment, whatever you can do to help grow the podcast so that I can keep doing episodes like this to bring more value to you.